back to another Spurs chat video where we'll be discussing today's defeat. West Ham United 1, Tottenham Hotspur 0. I've just got back from the London Stadium, but to help me dissect this game and so we can all learn about how we go forward and how we progress, our three very special guests. I've got Gareth, I've got Ricky Norwood, and I've got Jason McGovern from the Last Word on Spurs podcast. Ricky, let's start with you. Your thoughts on today's game?
It's my first thought, my friend. Oh my gosh, like another London derby, another non-performance. You know, the first thing my dad texted me saying, now we're bottom of the London League. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on here? You know, it's just frustrating as hell, especially after the last two performances. We believed we was building to something, and then to turn up at West Ham today. Look, we've said it for years that, you know, versus Tottenham is their cup final. Well, it should have been a bit of our cup final today. We should have been up for it to prove to the fans, to the club, to the owners, to everyone watching that we was up for a fight. Do you know what I mean? Especially after the last couple of derbies. But again, I don't know where we went, mate. I think the night nurse was in the pre-match drinks or something, bro. I honestly, it's baffling today. The performance today was baffling. It was embarrassing. And the only thought that I can come away with is that West Ham deserved it. West Ham deserved it from minute one. So, I mean, well done to them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Ricky. Jason, let's come to you. 4 London derbies this season. We've only played 9 Premier League games. We've lost all 4 London derbies, conceding 10 goals, only scoring 1 goal. Why? Why, Jace?
I know there seems a real lack of, but it's been a problem in some of the other games as well. A lack of intensity in us. We can't handle when a team just shows any degree of intensity. West Ham, I wouldn't say they came out and blitzed us, but they came out quicker than us, looked more hungry, and can't cope with that. But we get through that spell, and then I know from midway through the first half to half time, people say, well, we're controlling the game, but we're not doing a lot, let's be honest. We're not really, we're passing the ball almost around for the sake of it. West Ham step up that little bit in the second half of the game, you know, we do nothing. And the most depressing thing is that 72 minutes, you've got a goal down. There's 20 odd minutes left. There's always +3, +4. So you think, still got best part of half an hour, not a single shot at goal. Not a shot at goal when you're responding to it. And I think the final bit for me was almost, I think it might have been 91, 92 minutes, was when a ball came to Højbjerg, who instantly turned round when you just think, you've now got to get it in the box and hit a back pass 40 yards. And you thought, we're 1-0 down. You just can't do that. So a really difficult afternoon again, and questions have got to be asked of why are we playing this way, who's setting us up to play this way, and you know, ultimately, what do we do about the man who's got us playing this way?
Yeah, absolutely, Jace. Gareth, let's come to you. Your initial thoughts on today's match?
Just kind of what the boys said. It's kind of the same. It's the same game, just different team, different date. We've seen that lack of intensity Jason talks about now. So many games, even the Newcastle game, we come out slow, went 1-0 down. You know, I think the Newcastle game, you know, they were very poor and we got away with it. You know, we did play well, probably second half controlled the game a bit, but you're looking at a team that's not won a game all season. You know, and it's 9 games on, 4 defeats. You know, we're getting out of jail because we've won a few games at the start of the season. Really, that's a good start that we had. But if you look at that, it's 2-1s in the last 5 or 6. You know, we're not doing well in Europe. And again, we were the fresher team coming into the game. You know, West Ham played 5 players the other night, but we looked like we just got out of bed. And there's definitely a problem with some of the players. There's, as you say, where's that lack of intensity coming from? Because when Nuno was at Wolves, all right, they didn't play great football at times, but there was an intensity about them, and they didn't give away cheap goals the way we do. And it's starting to look like now it doesn't matter who's in charge, we're just going to have the same problems all the time.
Ricky, let's come to you. Now, you were on the show last week when we beat Newcastle 3-2, and Frank and Anthony both said that, you know, it would be good if we keep this starting 11 the same for Premier League matches, right? So Nuno Espirito Santo on Thursday evening makes 11 changes. I must admit, I wasn't a fan of him making all 11 changes. I would have put probably 1 or 2 first-team players in there just to try and get that job done to win that game. But that's another argument. That's another debate. He's gone with the same starting 11 today that won against Newcastle and the previous game, Aston Villa. I'm going to ask you the question again. I've asked you it before. Is this Tottenham's best starting 11? Let's just go through it. Hugo Lloris in goal, and then the back four of Emerson Royale, Romero, Dyer, Reguilon. In midfield, Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, Oliver Skip, Tanguy Ndombele, and then the forward line of Heung-min Son, Harry Kane, and Lucas Moura. Is that Tottenham's best 11? Because what worries me is the fact that, I know we keep saying it, 4 London derbies, the games that you should really, really be up for. And the real incentive today, if Tottenham won, we'd have been sitting in the top 4.
Chris, my friend, I mean, yes, it is. That is the best starting 11 so far. They had the previous results. Do you know what I mean? Villa and Newcastle, and they set the bar. But as we saw with the second side on Thursday, nobody really pushed to get into that first team. Nobody really pushed and kind of showed up to kind of be like, all right, cool, and give the manager and give us fans a little bit of a dilemma to go, let's chuck this one in, let's chuck that one in. It was just, again, like the boys said last week, you know, the boys were talking about Lucas last week, you know, one game he turns up and he's fantastic. The next game, he can go missing. And pretty much he went missing today. I don't know whether you've seen his heat map, but it's like, it's just one little circle in their half that, and you know, he gives everything for the shirt. He always tries, he's always there, he's always available. But today it was just like he was off, you know, Sonny was off, you know, Harry Kane again. I mean, you know, it's another London derby where we want to see him grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck, and he just didn't. You know, he had a good header in the first half. We had a couple of chances in that first half, but you know what? We just never looked dangerous. We just never looked dangerous. It just seemed like, you know, West Ham were up for it. And to tell you the truth, I don't even think they got out of second, third gear. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they got out of that, and I don't think they needed to. It just knocks us back, bro. It knocks us back so much. And it's got to the point now where we don't know what Tottenham side are going to turn up anymore. Like week to week right now. We're hoping for the best. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, there seems like there's no real plan, no real, like the boys have said already, no real intensity, no real aggression. You know, I didn't mind, you know, me and the boys was having a bit of a WhatsApp chat during the game. Me, Costa, Frankie, and my boy Hartman. And, you know, a couple of them were kind of like, that Romero yellow card. You know, a couple of them was like, what's he doing that for? It's unnecessary. And I was kind of like, I kind of liked it because it showed a bit of aggression. It showed a bit of fight. It showed a bit of fire. And I think we needed that throughout the side. The standout for me today, though, I think was Skip. And he didn't have the greatest of games, but he was getting about it. He was slightly tackling. He was always available for the ball. He's always calling for the ball, especially in that first half. But again, mate, they were just on the night nurse. They just went to sleep. It always seemed like West Ham were going to score. Like, it just always seemed that when they came forward against us, they were more dangerous than us. And I said this to you when we went to go and see Moura in the Europa Conference League. I said, like, you know what? What's really scary is that whatever side we're up against, all they need to do is try. That's all they need to do to score. All they need to do is try to score and not be fearful, not allow us our time. And something happens where we end up crumbling, you know. And yes, Nuno's to blame for a lot of it. But, you know, we've got to start looking at those players now, man. We've got to start looking at those players. If they, after the last couple of London derbies, they should have been up for this. They should have been there to kind of show us what's going on. And they just failed to impress today. They failed to turn up. They failed in a lot of areas. What really baffled me was Nuno's comments saying that we were the better side, because I don't think we was. I really don't. So maybe he didn't want to knock the boys. You know, maybe they were already down in confidence and he didn't want to, like, stick the boot in. But it was very lackluster, and it was really disappointing. Really disappointing.
Well, interestingly, Ricky, perfect timing because, as you say, Nuno Espirito Santo said that we were the better team in that game. And when he was asked about did we lack creativity, he said, no. He also then said, we're disappointed like everyone, like our fans. It's always tough to lose a match like this. We need to be more aggressive in the final third. There is a lot of aspects to improve. Jason, what I don't understand as a Spurs fan is how these players are not up for London derbies. Last season, I did a match preview with you, talking about the North London derby. And, you told me what it meant to you as a fan. We all know what London derbies mean to all of us as fans. How are these players not up for these London derbies? Because I just don't understand it. If there's any games in your calendar, in your fixture list, that the ones that you're feeling really excited about, the passion, comes out 110%, surely it has to be these matches.
You would think so. And in fairness, I thought in the Chelsea game in that first 45 minutes, we did see a little bit of it. But I don't think anyone in that at half time against Chelsea came off thinking, what are we doing, and being disappointed. But that apart, I don't know if it's the players that lack it, or it's a case of the way Nuno wants to play his football, that he doesn't think they can high press, or he doesn't want a high press, he doesn't want high intensity. And therefore if he doesn't demand that of them and they don't give it to us, that looks like they're not being passionate, but they're actually doing what they're told to do. So it's a difficult one. We all know we want to see it.
Do you know what? One thing, and I must have annoyed my dad all afternoon by saying it, is when someone like Eric Dyer had the ball, I was just mucking about going and sideways to Romero, and then sideways to Emerson Royale, and then back again, and then back to Lloris, and then forward out to the Reguilon. And it was just sideward passing, about 50 passes along the back four. And you just think, what are we doing? Surely a manager doesn't tell the team to be playing like this.
Well, I don't know. Is he so obsessed with just controlling the ball? And, I go back to it. It's 82 games out of 118 at Wolves that he finished 0-0 at half time. So it suggests he doesn't want to hide, and the running stats of being 20th in the league. That's all the history he's come with. So he's actually bringing everything we saw at Wolves to Spurs. And so is it the players that are lacking it, or is it that's how he's drilling them through? And bearing in mind the worst thing is that they had all week to prepare for this game. There wasn't the distraction of Europe for them. He left them behind in London, said, right, left a couple of the first team coaches behind, right, get them ready, get the game plan into them. So when you see this again and again and again, it is a concern. It is a concern. And I do feel that's the way he wants us to be. And so it can look a lack of passion. The players probably half and half think, well, if I do now go and show a little bit and make a chase and show a bit of urgency, I'll be out of the team next week because he doesn't want me to do that. And you're stuck then between it. I mean, even that Villa game that we won, I hate to talk about the lot down the rows, but I looked at us beat Villa and I thought Villa were poor on the day. And I remember saying to you in the pub, I worry if Villa are intense that we'll crumble. So we beat Villa with a bit of individual magic through the game from Sonny. And then I see Woolwich beat them Friday, where it's the intensity that beat Villa, wasn't it? I mean, I looked at Arsenal Friday and thought, God, I wish we played like that against Villa ourselves, where it was pushing and winning 50-50 balls and challenging for everything. But when West Ham have the ball, we keep 10 yards, we keep players goal side, you don't go, you don't engage anything, you almost wait for them to lose patience and give you the ball back. So is it a lack of passion, or is it actually that's what he wants from the players? I don't know. I fear it's the latter.
Well, we actually had 62% possession in that game, and I've absolutely no doubt that most of that ball time was actually playing the ball alongside our defence, backwards and forwards. Gareth, let's take a question here from Simon. There's no creative game changer in this Spurs team anymore. No intensity, no leadership, no ideas. Now, you would expect, there to be some leaders in this team. Who are they?
Leaders. You look at someone like Lloris, who's won World Cups. He's the captain. You expect him to be one. Kane, for me, is not a leader. He showed that in the summer when he kicked up a fuss about trying to get out. He's not really performed in any of the games. He's not really taken any responsibility for the goal we conceded. He just sort of he was looking around somebody else when it was his man that scored, Antonio. I do think there's a lack of leaders. You look at somebody like Højbjerg, kind of gives his all. Skip as well, but they're them types of players that they work hard, but there's not a lot of creativity in the team. We haven't replaced Eriksen. Dele Alli's obviously he's fallen off a cliff, and we relied on them two for a long time. And like Jason said, when Sonny has a game like that against Villa, it can be enough to beat teams, but you can't rely on that every week. You need a team over 38 games. And the way the team's set up, it's to try and get the best out of Ndombele. But the problem with Ndombele is his attitude's not great. He has he's got quality when he shows it, but he's like a 1 in 4, 1 in 5 player. He's not got that consistency. And therefore, because you're playing with Skip and Højbjerg, you haven't got that creativity because you're relying on one man. So no, there's big problems ahead for us because we've lost Harry's goals. We scored 1 goal all season in the league. We've lost, as you've said before, we've lost Bale and Vinicius, who scored goals before. Sonny's, he's doing his best, but he's prone to off games. Sonny can be great sometimes, then it can be 2 out of 10. And it's worrying going forward because we're not scoring goals. And, we've always been a team that scored goals because we've had to score goals because our defence hasn't been that great. And this season, it's how many times have we not scored? And we've not scored against Crystal Palace. We've not scored against Chelsea. We've not scored again today. We didn't score midweek in that against Vitesse. And the worrying thing is we haven't looked like scoring. Like Ricky said, we could still be playing the 10-8 now, and we never looked like scoring that game today.
Yeah, do you know what, Ricky? Let's come to you. The frustrating thing for me is the way that Nuno changed the team completely for Thursday's game. Of course, we end up losing it. And some people said, well, don't worry about it because, our first 11 are back for the West Ham game. It is absolutely the right decision. What are your thoughts on that? Because, playing 2 separate sides, are you agreeable to that what Nuno's doing here with the cups?
It's a bit of both, Chris. I'm a bit with you where I would have liked at least 1 or 2 of our first teamers to be in that side to help shore it up, to help make sure that there's a bit of rhythm. But at the same time, I kind of understand him wanting to give the second teamers a chance, give them some minutes, give them an opportunity to push for that first team. But we came unstuck. And we're almost in a position now. We're almost in a position where we have to play Harry because there's nobody else. Do you know what I mean? And then, the boys didn't have no excuses today. They didn't have no excuses. Now, back in the day, I will always mention Poch because he is the bar that was set. He's the highest level that we've reached. And when we was playing 2 games a week, there was a rhythm, there was intensity, the energy kept rolling from week to week. Now, he made a couple of changes here and there, but he basically kept the side the same. This week, after the internationals, I think he wanted to maybe allow some of those South Americans to find their feet again, especially after playing 24 hours after getting off of a plane last week. So maybe he wanted to let them settle back in, get back into their sleep pattern, and hopefully, show us why they was rested, show us why they're the first team. But we just came unstuck, bruv. We just came unstuck. But I think Jace had a point there about the instructions that this team are given and how they're trying to play and how they're trying to kind of the mission statements that they're being given and the roles that they're being given. It just seems like they're not responding to it. This is why I wanted Ten Hag as our manager in the summer, because when looking at him and the way that his Ajax team play, firstly they play always with young ones, always with kids. They always play fearless. He's always got like A, B, C, D, E, F, and G plans for the opponents that he comes up against. They play with high intensity. They play with energy. They play with like dynamism. it's all the things that Poch brought to us, and this is why, you know, again, I'm a lover of trying to bring Poch back as soon as damn possible, because you look at our running stats, you look at our fitness stats, you look at the way that we're playing, and it's exactly what Poch brought to our game. It's why he was so important. It's why we love him so much. Do you know what I mean? So if we wasn't going to go back in for Poch, then I think that we needed somebody else who had that DNA. Do you know what I mean? That DNA that we keep speaking about. You know, making us proud, and to dare is to do is going through Nuno's mind. Well, I don't know what interpretation he's got of those words, because we haven't seen it. We just haven't seen it.
Well, perfect time, Ricky. I was going to say, Nuno's comments, you know, his first video that he did as Tottenham Hotspur head coach. I'm so happy to be here. My promise to you, we're going to make you proud. Now, Harry Kane came out after today's game and said, we have to learn from it and move on. We've got plenty of games coming up. Club captain Hugo Lloris said, we're going to try and improve individually and collectively. Jace, it feels like we've heard all of this before.
Yep. Numerous times. We heard it. You know, Hugo came out, was it after the Zagreb game?
Yeah.
Where he was openly critical. We saw it on some of the Amazon documentary. We saw it under Poch with that defeat at Brighton, where the words came out straight on top of the Bayern Munich game. It's been going on for way too long. And eventually, I think as fans, you kind of want players to say something, but then you think, do you know what? I'm sick and tired of hearing the same words. And together we must react next week. And, you know, Thursday will come round. Let's go again. But I mean, most of that we know it isn't players talking. It's their media teams, and you know, that's where it gets difficult. But the whole mentality. I mean, I'm critical of Nuno, as I say. He's not the man, but too many of this group have failed for too long for it just to be. It would be very easy to sack Nuno and think, right, all our problems are gone. This group at times stinks with the attitude in the group. We've seen them get Poch sacked. We've seen them get Mourinho sacked, who I never wanted, but they still ended up with the problems, and now they're going to have it with a third one. And at which time does the Eric Dyers, does Sanchez, does Winks, does Kane, does Sonny? Let's include those two in that, because they've all been part of that same group. Hugo's. At what time do they look at themselves and think, maybe we are the problem here? Maybe it's our attitude that actually stinks. And no matter, we've seen at first it happened under Poch in Greece, where he came out and said, in that 2-2 draw with Olympiacos, I think it was, where he said they never did what I told them to do. And then Mourinho alluded to it last year, and now Nuno alluded to it in the Arsenal game. I asked them to do what they're not capable of. So if they've been asked to do things for getting on 3 years they're not capable of doing, then it suggests that group of players is the real problem behind it.
Chase, who do you really believe, you know, yourself? Who do you think is the problem? Because it's so easy for fans, like in the last, 12, 24 months, it's very easy to blame players like Harry Winks and Ben Davies. You know, them two get a lot of stick. Dele Alli, of course, Serge Aurier, Moussa Sissoko, who have now left. They used to get a lot of stick. We can't blame any of them today, or any of them in these London derbies.
No, absolutely, and that's why I say sometimes it's the group that's been the group that's still there. It is. I mean, you know, Sonny is up and down and things, and I love Sonny, and I'm not trying to ball him out, but there's too many of this group that have been there for too long that the same thing happens. And you're right, when you look at the leaders, you think Hugo, and Hugo actually came across quite well in the Amazon documentary series, but everything he was doing was in the dressing room, not on the pitch. And there's times we just look so rudderless on the pitch. And it's not just under Nuno. I'm trying to separate Nuno out because my thoughts on Nuno are different. But this side has been mostly rancid for the best part of 3 years. And we can't get away from that. So Nuno's only 9 games in. And he's just finding out maybe how little he can rely on some of these players. And he's probably shocked himself, like Mourinho was probably shocked at it. But it's not a surprise.
Yeah, we'll certainly come on to talking about Nuno shortly. Gareth, let's come to you. Neil Wright's on the screen now, making subs on the 84th and 90th minute whilst being 1-0 down and no shots on goal is absolutely ridiculous. A fact here as well, Spurs didn't attempt a single shot during the second half. It's the third time they have failed to record a shot in the second half of a Premier League game since the start of last season, the most of any side. That is worrying, isn't it?
Massively. Getting back, this all starts with the two-team factor. You know, the 11 that played on Thursday and the 11 that played today. Nuno's made it evidently clear he doesn't trust any of the 11 he sent out the Vitesse. You know, I know there was a couple of young players in there, but I mean Alexa Dele Alli, Harry Winks, you know, they haven't got a snuff on the Premier League, really, in the last few games. So, you know, that's going to cause friction on the squad because, you know, say we went out to Vitesse the other night and, you know, Dele Alli scored a hat-trick. He wouldn't have started the game today, let's be honest. Nuno had his team picked for the day before, you know, since that Aston Villa game, he was going to stick with that same team. And even today, when it wasn't working out, he didn't make a change to 84 minutes, which suggests he doesn't really fancy any of the players on the bench. You know, and eventually he's done it with 6 minutes to go, which is very little time left. They make an impact on the game, so you can't really blame you know, the likes of Bergwijn and Gill who come on because they didn't have enough time really to impact the game. But you know, we've been talking about this for a long time, Chris. We've done loads of shows. You know, 2019 Poch was a problem. You know, then it was Mourinho was a problem. People are blaming Levy. People are blaming the board. People are blaming Nuno today. For me, when you go out in that pitch in a derby, 90 minutes, you have to give your 100. You have to give 100%, and a lot of them players didn't give 100%. You know, is that the manager's fault? Maybe because, you know, he should be getting them motivated. But this is the third manager now trying to motivate these players in the last 3 years. So Jason's got a massive point. And when do we draw the line? You know, we could sack Nuno tomorrow and bring in another manager, but would it change anything? Maybe for a few games, but not long term. So, you know, we're going to get a lot of these up and down games all season. We're going to win a couple, lose a couple, you know, and then just like the media duties after the game, we've heard all that before. And it's getting that comfortable now. It's these players are that used to getting in front of the camera and saying, "Oh, we got to improve. We got to do better." It's just the same old words, and they don't mean anything anymore. That's the honest truth.
Ricky, let's come to you, and I want to ask all three of you the same question here. Are we a better team under Nuno Espirito Santo than we were under Ryan Mason or indeed Jose Mourinho?
For me, oh goodness, no. For me, I've got to say no, Chris. Honestly, I mean, you know, when Ryan Mason took over, there was a lot of criticism about it being Ryan mates on, and you know, I don't mind a manager having a few in the side that he can trust. That he, you know, even if they are playing a bit indifferent. If the manager trusts you and you've got somebody on there that can convey the message that you want to give, I don't mind that too much. It's when others that are top players that are missing out, that's when it becomes frustrating. Or when consistently these guys that were in the first 11 are not performing. Under Mourinho, Mourinho kind of gave us, or was there to give us, a winning mentality, and it just didn't gel. We had some good performances under him, and we had some very lackluster, terrible performance under him as well, like where the team just did not show up whatsoever. But it comes down to, I think it comes down to the things that were good when Poch was in. All right. So the things that were good when Poch was in was our running stats. We was on double, triple session training sessions. There was a brotherhood. There was a togetherness. There was, you know, a want and a will. We went out there to cause problems for the opposition rather than waiting for the opposition to cause problems to us and then react to it. You know. And
see, to be honest, if you go back to then, Ricky, as well, we had a strong team as well. We had Alderweireld and Vertonghen in their prime. We had a Lloris who was reliable. We had Kyle Walker, who was excellent. We had Trippier after him, he was good. We had Danny Rose in his prime. We had Wanyama, Dembele, Dyer on his prime. Midfield, we had Ericsson, Dele Alli, who was the superstar back then. The team is a lot weaker now, so it's very hard. That's where I'd be reluctant to blame Nuno, because I look at where we are on the table. We're sitting sixth. I think that's realistically where we are. I don't think we're any higher than that. I think, you know, you look at Liverpool, they're a class above us. Man City a class above Chelsea, and the rest of the teams are kind of fighting for that 4th spot only because Man United are struggling, because Man United really should be in there. And then I'm looking at Leicester, I think are better, West Ham are better, so that's kind of where we are. Whereas before the team under Poch, and you could possibly look at the team Mourinho inherited, yes, we could expect more, but then a lot of Mourinho's performances, I think, were Kane and Son scored a lot of goals, and that papered over a lot of the cracks. Kane's not been scoring this season.
This is exactly why I've asked the question, because you both have just said it. Son and Kane scoring all the goals, like you've said, Gareth, and Ricky, you said there were some good performances under Jose Mourinho. Well, we're 9 Premier League games in. You would think that the honeymoon period would still be there for Nuno and the players. They would still want to be playing for him to impress, for their futures, to play for the club, etc. We've had quite a few cup games as well. Ricky, you just said that we've had some good performances under Jose. What's been your best performance under Nuno so far?
I go back to the Man City game, really, which is the first game of the season. Last week it was good. It was better. Villa, it was good, but none of them have been kind of standout great performances. When we should push the pedal down and when we should go for the throat, we don't. I understand about controlling the game and possession and slowing down the game and stuff like that and doing all those bits. But we have lost our bite. We've lost our intensity. We've lost that fire, that kind of to go and kill a team, to go and put them to the sword, and it's I just think that Mourinho and Nuno come from a different school than what Poch did, and we're looking at this team knowing what can come from them, knowing that there are some great individuals in there, knowing that we can be better than we are, and we're just not seeing it. When I look at the tactics against the Gooners and against Chelsea, that was damning for me. And I said last week, I've got to give Nuno credit for trying to learn from the mistakes that were made. But where was the fire today? Like, where was the G'ing up? Where was anybody kind of like going for it? That's why I kind of liked the Romero yellow card. I was kind of like, it was unnecessary, yes, but I was kind of like, come on. Like, I thought he tried to inject something in this team. But it just didn't work, mate. It just didn't work. And poor old Brian Hill, look, the boy's got bundles of skill. I think he's going to be dynamite, but it looks like it's going to take like a good 2 years for him to get him up to strength, because he can get buoyed off the ball. He can get bullied off the ball quite easy. But it was just the only consistency we've got is that when it comes up, when we're up against a team where we know we should turn up, we consistently don't. So that's the only consistency that we've got so far, which is terrible to say. I don't want to sit here slagging off my team. I love my team, regardless. We've been through it all. All of us Tottenham fans, we've been through the lows, we've been through the terrible times, and we've been through the hope as well. Do you know what I mean? And we've had some. We under Poch, we was going in the right direction. We had something to grasp at. We had that pride. Do you know what I mean? I felt that we could give anybody a game. I didn't care who we came up against because I knew that we would impose our game. But right now, this counter-attacking, this, wait for them to lose the ball, wait for them to make a mistake and then try and press or try and counter. I don't think it's working for us. I think they just end up getting in a lull. They end up like falling asleep on the ball. And then that's when we normally concede.
You know what, Ricky? One thing's for sure. You said about that drinking game about me mentioning the word trophy. I think when you mention the word Poch or Pochettino, I think that everyone should have some sort of shot or something because I reckon there'd be Jay, same question for you because I know you weren't Jose Mourinho's #1 fan. That's probably an understatement. But has anything improved for you under Nuno so far?
No, not at all. And I think we're I'm going to say that we watch football as fans and our passion is fans and it's a hobby. Them as players, that's their job. And if we can relate to that, if Ricky's got his studio director, and he's the seventh choice studio director comes in, and he says to Ricky, "I think you should do that." And I think Ricky's looking at him thinking, "Do what? That's not a very good idea. I've never done it like that before." You lose belief in what you're being told, and no matter how professional you want to be, if the sales director says to me, "You got to go and pitch or speak that way," I think, "What rubbish are you talking about?" And yeah, the professional pride in you does your job, but you're not doing it with that enthusiasm that's going to get the best results out of you, are you? And that's the thing. I think that's what we're up against. That the players know he wasn't first choice. They don't believe in what he's telling them. So therefore, they're not producing. And I'm not excusing that. I'm not excusing that in the players, but I can understand why you're starting to see this thing. And to talk about us, I think Jamie said it, about a transition season. I said, we're not even reached the bottom of where we're going yet. We're not in transition yet. Transition is when you start to see little green shoots, the odd game here or there. You think, that's what we're working towards. We're nowhere near the bottom of this pitch for me yet. There will be a number of performances just as bad today to come, and that's the real worry for it. But no, it's no better than it was under Jose. But did performances really improved under Jose than they will under Poch? No, they weren't. So that's what I say. It's been a long spiral, and unfortunately, we're still on that downward trend.
I've got to ask you, Jace, because you absolutely despise Jose. I've been in the pub with you many times. I've spoken to you, on these shows, off the shows, and you've been very honest. Very honest opinion about Jose Mourinho. You said that nothing has changed under Nuno. Are you fully behind Nuno?
No, nothing has. No, but
Jace,
I didn't want Nuno in the first place. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Right. No, I'm not behind Nuno. Chris, what football I want to see. I want to see Tottenham front foot. I want to see us play like Jurgen Klopp can get his teams to play. And I'm not saying we should be as good as Liverpool now, but from the day that Jurgen Klopp took over Liverpool, it was right front foot football. And his side that came to Tottenham for that first game is nowhere near the side he's got now. But that philosophy of front foot, go and dominate, not dominate the ball just for the sake of it, not have 67% possession in your own half, but get on there, press. And I want to see that high energy, high intensity. And I can accept the few defeats along the way if I see that's what we're going to do. But we didn't under Jose for most of the time, and we haven't done it once under Nuno, and I don't think we'll ever do that under Nuno.
Gareth, let's come to you on that point. Do you think we're going to see that free-flowing, attacking, excellent style football that all of us Tottenham Hotspur fans want and are used to, certainly under Pochettino, as Ricky keeps mentioning? Do you think that we're going to see that, and are you fully behind the manager?
We're definitely not going to see it. But when Nuno came in, I didn't want him. You know who I wanted? It was Potter. People laughed at me and stuff, but I really wanted Potter because I really believed that he was the kind of manager that would have played the type of football that we'd have been looking to see. And obviously people wanted a big name, but I didn't think a big name was realistic. And you look at Brighton this season, like I know they've had it, they get beat yesterday, but they do kind of play that on the edge of your seat football. You could argue that we've got better players, so could he play that way at Spurs? But then I look at it, as Højbjerg and Skip, that are they them ball playing midfielders that's going to play that attacking brand sexy football? Probably not. So have we got the players to play the kind of football that people want? I'm not so sure we do anymore. But we can definitely play a lot better than what we're seeing. And like you said about the tactics, passing around the ball at the back, is that the manager or is that the players? I do think the players lack confidence. I do think they lack belief. You've seen the North London derby where we just pumped the ball forward for fun when there was no one really up there. We've got Kane to aim at. I know Lucas wants a lot of headers, but he's not the tallest player. Son doesn't want a lot of headers. And, I do think that's a lack of belief in some of the players like Dyer, who's been here a long time and they've suffered so many setbacks. They just don't have the confidence and belief to play the way they used to play under Pochettino. So it's definitely a mix of both because Nuno's not, he didn't entertain at Wolves, but I kind of feel whoever we get as the next manager will kind of have the same problem with the same players. And as you say, have we improved under Nuno? Not one but in my eyes, we didn't improve under Mourinho over a long period of time than what we've seen when Poch, that last season under Poch before he got sacked, because the football was pretty poor that season as well. You could even see in the players, they weren't running as much as they used to. So it's all gone up at stayed. And we definitely need a lot more players to come in and a few more to leave. And you can't rely on 11 players, which Nuno was at the minute. He's relying on 11 players because he's just sidelined the rest. They play in the Europa Conference League. And that's the kind of thing that's going to disrupt the squad. And he's made a lot of poor decisions so far. And I'm one of the Spurs fans that's trying to give him time. But there's not a lot out there. I'm trying to defend him. But there's not a lot to defend him with because he's not giving us evidence on the pitch that suggests things are going to get any better.
Gareth, do you think that Nuno Santos... Go on, Jason.
Can I just say, Chris? Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not saying I want him as manager, but I look at Patrick Vieira that's got into Palace. So he's been in there at the same time as Nuno. He's had to change the squad around. But Palace have only won one game, which was us. And as good as that was, Palace, it was 0-0 at 70 minutes with 11v11. So, even that was a fortunate win to a degree. But you can already see what Palace want to do. Palace fans are thinking, you see them go to Arsenal, they go to Liverpool, they go to Anfield and take Liverpool on that day. Created chances, and okay, they get beat like Liverpool can do to anyone. But you can see what Patrick Vieira wants Palace to be already. And Palace will be fine this year. And they may not get any more points this year than they got under Hodgson. But you can see what they're trying to do. And I just wish we were trying to do that's a terrible thing. I want Tottenham to be doing what Crystal Palace want to be doing. How can you be saying that as a Tottenham fan?
You could say that exactly the same thing about Wolves as well, Jace, because I know a couple of Wolves fans, they're very happy with their manager, even though they were losing games, because they were seeing what they were trying to do and what they were going to go and do going forward. So it's an interesting point. Gareth, let's come back to you. Do you think that Nuno will get the time? Because I don't know, for me, he comes out with some very strange comments, even today saying that he thought that Tottenham were the better side. He didn't think that we lacked creativity. I just find that really bizarre.
One thing I've picked up, and he is very, very poor in front of the camera. I'm not sure if that's pressure, because I think he knows himself he's not the first choice. Whenever that interview came along and he was given the job, he's not stupid. He knows it wasn't the first choice. So when you're not the board's first choice, you're never going to get that full backing, in my opinion. He didn't get the full backing in the summer. We didn't do enough business. And the players that we signed, like Brian Hill, we knew it was going to take him time to get into a team. The team is very similar to last season, bar, we've changed the right back and we brought Romero on. And he's only started playing Romero recently. He wasn't on the team at the start of the season. So, you keep doing the same things, you're going to get the same results, I always say, Chris. And at the minute, it's just nothing's really changed from last season. And some of the things he's saying, I just think it's down to a wee bit of pressure, Chris. I don't think he really believes that we were the better team today. He can point the possession stats, but we've all got our own two eyes and we've seen the game. We never looked like scoring. I spoke to you off camera. I don't think the most disappointing thing was West Ham weren't at the races. I've watched them last week against Everton. I've watched them against Man United. They were brilliant against Man United. We're very unfortunate to lose that game. If West Ham had stepped it up today, we'd have been in big trouble. You probably would have seen an hour 3 or 4-0. And that's being realistic, but the fact that they weren't at it, probably due to the fact that they've had 5 players playing Thursday night, so it's probably unrealistic to expect them to be 100% at it. But they lack, and what we lack in, they have an abundance of, and that's belief. And they kept going, and they scored from a set piece, which we fail to do the basics in football. And how often do we say it? Doesn't matter who the coach is, Mourinho, Nuno, Pochettino. They've been unable to fix basic errors, and that all came from Kane just not marking his man properly. It's the easiest goal you'll see all season. And when I coach football myself, you'd be so frustrated as a coach when you can see goals like that. If somebody scores a goal from 30 yards, you sort of like Lanzini's goal last year, pure on, it's a great strike, crumbles us in the last minute. You kind of go, well, there's not a lot can be done about that. But that goal today, it's one where Nuno will be looking at it and think, are these players playing for me? Because if you don't do the basics, then it's not a good sign.
Ricky, let's come to you. David Rott's on screen now. Let's be honest, if the board has lack of ambition, why would the players really want to put themselves out? Can see it with Harry Kane once Jose Mourinho was sacked. Now, also want to talk about Harry Kane as well. What did you make of his performance today?
It was disappointing, Chris. It was disappointing because, again, another London derby, and he didn't turn up, and it's, in seasons gone by when he's had barren spells, we've seen the work that he's done off the ball. We've seen the work that he's done for the team, and for and giving opportunities to the other players to score. But it was one of those where it was, again, I keep coming back to the word lackluster. I mean, Jace just spoke there about Crystal Palace. Now, I don't know whether you've seen the Palace highlights or whatever, but Benteke was a man possessed. He could have got a hat trick yesterday, and I haven't, the way Benteke was moving and he wanted to score. You could see the aggressiveness in him. It wasn't there in Kane, which is damning. It's damning, and it's worrying. And we've put ourselves in this corner now where we've got no choice but to play him. And we're just waiting and hoping that the old Harry turns up. Do you know what I mean? But it's like the comment, the man that made the comment just a minute ago just said there. If there's a lack of ambition throughout the club, then that kind of transfers onto the field, and we're seeing that. Like, again, Jace just said it there. Vieira's been there the same amount of time, but you can see right now, looking at Palace, that they've got a plan and they believe in what Vieira's saying. They want to perform. I think they had 11 players that were about to go out on freeze in the summer. So they've had a clean slate. They've brought in some kids. They've made a couple of good signings, and they got a manager in which the players believe in right now. And even though they're not getting big, massive results right now, you can see what they're planning. You can see what their plan is. You can see where they're going. And right now, we look lost. Harry, I don't know. And the thing is with Harry as well, and especially this season, Chris, if he's not on it, or if he's not showing up in performances, then we've got to take him off, mate. Do you know what I mean? We've got to take him off. And we can't be afraid to bench him, even if that means pushing Sonny in the number 9 spot and sticking on another winger on that left-hand side. Do you know what I mean? Like, the one positive that we had against Man City was pace. So when we was counter-attacking, we had a ton of pace. We had Lucas on the right side. We had Bergwijn on the left. And we had Sonny down the middle. That was just... I mean, I know that Man City's squad was a bit depleted in that first game, but we caused them problems, with that pace. So if Harry's got to be on a bench for a game to kind of fire him up, to kind of wake him up, then so be it. Like, we've got to start putting the same criticisms that we have done on the players that don't want to play or that have not shown up. Or,
is it realistic though, Ricky?
It's not, because we're in the corner. We've only got one option, which is Harry Kane.
Yeah.
And I look at the criticism that I gave Ericsson when he said he wanted to leave, and we still had him up until January, just before we sold him to Inter, and he turned up as a professional, and he put in a professional performance, but he didn't put in the performances that we were used to seeing him put in. He wasn't like breaking a sweat. He wasn't, like putting in that extra 10% that we always saw him do, and I criticized him, and I was like, look, if you want to leave, then leave. And when I see performances like that from Harry, I'm like, I feel kind of the same. Like, if you don't want to be there, either be on the bench and come on, or get out, mate. Like, I don't know anymore. I don't know.
It's a huge problem, because he's not going to sign a new contract now. He's not going to sign, and his contract's going to be a year left in the summer. We're not going to get the money we would have got from last summer. He's a year older. He's going to be down on his goal tallies and his assists this season. So, can we demand that much money from him? And it's not just for us as well. Like, I've watched him for England. and he's not been the same player. So I don't know if he's suffering himself from the fact that he's not got his move. His motivation's not there, because I don't think that goal last season wouldn't have happened. It might have happened with a different player today, but Harry would have made sure he marked his man, and he wouldn't have let it go in that easy. That's the type of goal you would have seen a Sergio Aurier concede from, but definitely not a Harry Kane. And that's the worrying thing. That even for England as well, he looks lost at times. A lot of fans, English fans, have been saying he should be dropped to the England team as well. So it's definitely not just a Spurs problem. It's a Harry Kane problem at the moment.
Ricky, just want to come back to you. Harry Kane, of course, had a chance just before the half-time break, 44th minute, header. Fabianski tipped it over from a Reguilon cross. That was the only chance that Harry Kane had today. But what worries me about Harry Kane, certainly from today, is his body language. And there's certain challenges that that Harry Kane would have gone in for. And, when he jumped up to win a header, it was kind of half-heartedly. And I didn't feel like certainly today, I don't feel that we are seeing the Harry Kane that we all know and love.
No, we're not. We're not. And do you know what? Like last week and the week before, against Villa, I saw a hint of the old Harry Kane, and I was like, okay, he's getting frustrated here. He wants to prove everybody wrong again. I'm hoping that he wants to prove everybody wrong again. I saw a little glint. Then against Newcastle, there was a bit more energy. There was a bit more about him. He scored. I'm like, all right, cool. He's opened his account now. Against the Hammers, he's got a great opportunity to show us all that he's back. That he's the one to be relied upon again. And like you say there about the body language, bro, it just wasn't. But you know what? From minute one, the majority of these games, especially the league games, it's taken us 15 minutes, 20 minutes to warm up to the game. And within that time, we've normally conceded as well. So we've seen them react to going a goal down, and we've seen a good reaction in the last two games. Today, there was no reaction again. Do you know what I mean? Like we conceded that goal, and there was no real fight or no real reaction. And it wasn't just Harry. There was body language issues all over the park today, the park, which is really worrying. That's damning. So,
Jace, let's come to you.
It's tough.
Jace, let's come to you. I've mentioned on this channel for all of this season actually about Gareth Bale and Carlos Vinicius losing 26 goals that they scored last season. Darrow has written a comment on screen now. It's got worse than last season. We lost 26 goals and 10 assists with Gareth Bale and Carlos Vinicius not replaced. A club of excuses and fake promises is what we are. Would you go along with that?
Oh, absolutely. I said that back in the summer. I don't know why we even wanted to let Troy Parrott leave on loan if we weren't going to replace Vinicius. You're asking a hell of a lot for Dane Scarlett at 17 to come in and play as a single striker up against two experienced centre-halves, regardless of what club it's against, whether it's Moura, whether it's Pacos, whether it's Vitesse or whatever. You're asking a lot of the kid, and I felt for him when he came off the other night, his face, he looked totally distraught. But I don't think he's had a shot at goal in any game, has he?
No, not really. Has he?
I'm pretty certain he hasn't even had a shot at goal. And
Jason, look at Leicester. Look at Leicester, right? Look at Leicester. They struggled last year. Vardy's goal straight up. They've got Ian Atchua, and what do they go and do in the summer? They go and sign Daka, who can come on and score 4 goals in Europe, and it takes the pressure off Alexa. The players that they're scoring in the Premier League, and then even if Kane is struggling, you've got a striker they come on. If Vardy goes through a patch of bad form, they've got Daka they come on. They've got Ian Atchua they come on. And what have you seen with Vardy since same players have come on? Vardy's come back to his old ways of scoring goals again because there's competition for places. We haven't got that.
No, and we knew you got Conference League. You got certainly the early rounds of the Carabao Cup where you might draw a lower league side or you might draw a low Premier League side. So there was enough games between, certainly up to Christmas, to have sorted something out. Even if it was another loan option, it's ridiculous that we allowed 26 goals to just walk away from the club and not replace them. It's really poor planning, really poor planning.
Gareth, let's come to you. Let's talk about the goal that West Ham scored, the winning goal. Obviously, Cresswell took the corner. Antonio tapped in. It was far too easy, wasn't it?
But how many times have we seen goals like that? It's only us that concedes goals like this. Comical defending, lack of leadership, lack of responsibility. As I said, I spoke about this. If you're a coach, you're tearing your hair out because at least if we don't play, we haven't played well. at least try and get a point out of the game, or stay in the game and maybe we'll nick one at the end of the game. But they concede the way we did. It's pathetic. And it tells you everything about the team, Chris. See when the goal went in, everyone was looking around at each other, nobody taking responsibility again. Even if Harry's made that mistake, at least Harry, you should look at him and see a bit of fight from him and hold his hands up. But he just looked at our players, and that tells you a lot about Harry at the moment. I just don't think he wants to be there. And he scored that goal last week, and he has looked a bit livelier in the last 2 games, like Ricky said. But on the whole, just not good enough. How many goals do they concede from set pieces every season? I get nervous when a team gets a corner, and then when we have a corner, it's like a waste of time because we never score from them.
Gareth, do you think Harry Kane will be a Tottenham player on the 1st of Feb?
Oh, it's hard because you don't notoriously see big moves in January. I think it'll depend on. Well, if Nuno's still here, that's another thing too. But it'll depend on the manager and the board. Obviously, I think Kane's made it clear he won't sign our contract. He's always said we have to be going the right direction. We're definitely not going the right direction as a club. And it'll depend, if Man City come on with the right money. If Man City come on with 100 million, I think they'll sell. I do. I think they'll sell now. But they won't come on with 100 million because they know now that, he's going to be even cheaper in the summer. They might be happy to let him sit 3 or 4 months and then we'll pick him up in the summer for 60, 70 million. And for us, that's an 80. We definitely could have got 150 for Kane in the summer. Maybe not up front, but we definitely could have got 120 and probably the rest in add-ons. And if you think about the add-ons, Man City, it's probably trophy related. And Man City do win a lot of trophies, so you probably would have got close to 150 million. We're probably not going to get that now. Son 30 in the summer as well. So Son's getting on and age. This is a big worry. These 2 players have got us in a lot of trouble. Scored goals, countless goals for seasons, and even you say with Bale last season, he didn't play a lot of games, but he scored goals for fun when he did play. I know a lot of the time the system doesn't suit him, and he can't do the things that you see with Ronaldo at Man United. He's not the same player he was when he was here the first time. He can't run the way he used to, but he's still effective, and he's still got a world-class ability, and he can finish. Vinicius was the type of player that we needed for this Conference League because that's his level. Really, he could have scored goals in the Conference League, and it would have, probably would have give a chance for Scarlett to learn and maybe come on and play with Vinicius. He's been totally thrown on there at the deep end. As you say, Jason, I felt really sorry for him when he came off. He's 16, 17. He just looks so young, and to be putting all this pressure on him is really unfair. And it could set him back as well because when Troy Park coming in at the start too, he didn't look ready, and then he got a bad injury, and he's fallen all the way down now. And he's down at MK Dons, and he seems to be getting back. Or sorry, Ipswich is it now? It's Ipswich. He seems to be getting back to his best again. But there was a time when Park was the next big thing, and Scarlett has been touted as well as being a hot prospect. But they're not going to. You look at Man City and Foden. Foden was managed really, really well before it's only this season really Foden's become a first 11 player. A lot of the last few seasons, he would have come on and played a game, and he would have come on for 15 minutes, and he would have played with David Silva, played with De Bruyne. Scarlett's not had a chance to play with Harry Kane, so he's not going to really learn. And at the minute, Chris, it's just more bad news all the time.
Ricky, let's come to you. Joey writes on screen now. How can we keep blaming managers? Redknapp, AVB, Pochettino, Jose Mourinho, Nuno. Take your pick. It's the same old story, season after season with Enoch in charge.
There's not much I can argue against that, Chris. There's not much I can argue against that. I hate saying we need the rebuilder, and I hate saying that we need to start again. But the thing is that if we don't sort our lives out real soon, we're gonna fall back. Not just out of the top 4, not just out of the top 6, but out of contention. It's just out of contention. There's other teams that are kind of doing so much better than us just because of their will, just because they've got a plan and they believe in their plan, and they've got a will to win. You look at Leicester, you look at the Hammers today, you look at a lot of other sides, even Brighton. There's a lot of teams out there that have not spent millions and millions and millions, but they've spent in the right areas in the right times, And we've got to stop doing this. And a lot of that has to do with the board, but we've got to stop doing this. When we had the opportunity to sign Skriniar, you know, didn't do it. We didn't make the move because we wanted Ruben Dias. But then you got the deal sorted for Ruben Dias, but then you don't follow it through, and he goes to Man City and becomes Defender of the Year last year or whatever it was there. You know, all these mistakes that we've made are coming to fruition right now. And we've got we can do nothing as fans but take it on the chin. You know, we can be angry, upset, emotional, because that's what we are as fans. Because football means more to us than just a game. It affects us. Do you know what I mean? It affects our mood. It affects the way we think. It affects, you know, whether we watch Match of the Day that evening. It affects so many other things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, we're going to be emotional. But this board and this side, they need to start getting things right. They need to start putting a plan of execution in to get us to a place where we're not that far behind. Do you know what I mean? Like, at least we're pushing for something. But the more we leave it, the further back we go, mate, and the further we sink. And it's really upsetting to see.
Chase, let's come to you. Brad writes on screen now, and I promise I didn't write this because I don't know whether you've been watching from the beginning, Brad, but I've said exactly the same thing early on in the video. Was at the game today. We were comfortable for most of the game, but you don't win games by how many passes you can do in front of the penalty area. Jace, you know, you're of an age where you have seen Tottenham Hotspur lift trophies. You've seen, you know, football played on the front foot. You've seen entertaining, free-flowing football, fantastic football that we want to see now. It's frustrating, isn't it, when we keep just passing the ball along our defence?
Well, why do we criticise Harry Winks? Because he does exactly that. And today we had 9 Harry Winks on the pitch, you could say. You know, today I'm not having to go at Oliver Skipp, right? And I think Oliver Skipp's made a big difference to us. But with the ball, if we watch Winks pass it in most directions that Skippy does, we'd be on Winks's back.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean. And I don't get me wrong, and I sincerely hope Oliver Skipp continues to improve and doesn't get stuck with in the way that Harry Winks has done. And don't, for God's sake, don't let anyone misunderstand and saying that Winks is just as good as Oliver Skipp. I'm not saying that, but there's so much negative passing in that side that, and as I say, if Winks does it, we go mad. And yet there are others doing it. Højbjerg today, side to side, Dyer, back to Romero. It's horrendous to watch. Absolutely horrendous to watch. And you know, if Ben Davies does it, we're on his back. But there are other players that seem to be able to get away with it. And as I said, that the touch from Højbjerg, the 91.5 minutes, when we're chasing a goal and he hit it a 40-yard ball straight back. And I thought, where are we going here? So, no, the question's right. The possession stat looks good, number of passes, but there's absolutely no intention behind any of them. And the other thing I would say about the passes, I can't remember if I said it earlier. When we pass the ball, it's as if the grass is a foot long.
Yeah.
The actual pace of the pass is so slow that instead of being 2 yards in front of a quick reggie on so he can run onto it, there's no momentum on the ball. So he kind of stands there and waits for the ball to arrive at his foot. And it's as if we've got Crown Green bowling pace of a pass. It's like, fizz it about, put some water on the pitch, zip it. But there's not even a crispness to the passing, is there? It's so slow watching the ball even. And even teams like in the relegation zone, Jace, they move the ball quicker than we do. Yeah.
Why are we so slow in that regard?
Like I say, there's just no pace on the ball, and I mean, it should suit you to play one-touch football if the ball's travelling that slow. But it's I don't know, mate. That's why I have serious doubts as to the instructions they're given and the way that they're being asked to play.
Well, this is it. Is it the players or is it the manager that are putting that out?
I just think it's very comfortable at the club. You know, it's just this comfortable attitude that we can just go out here and, you know, it doesn't really matter what happens. And, you know, you look at the Champions League, see the team that started the Champions League final, and look at the team now. You know, and Ricky talks about a rebuild there. There has been a lot of changes. I know there's still some players here, but there's been a lot of changes still. You know, Emerson's come on, Reguilón's come on, Romero's come on, Højbjerg's come on, Skip's come on. And you've had Alexa Bergman has had a run on the team. You've had Hull playing at times. And a lot of the players that are joining as well are going backwards. You know, Region joined these first few games. He looked like he was going to be, you know, a great signing for us. He's went backwards. Skip, you know, if you watch him for Norwich last season, he played a lot of forward passes. I've seen a highlights video today or this week of Winks' performance at the Bernabeu. A lot of forward passing. He started going backwards. Skip, I hope he doesn't go into the same trap as going backwards. You watch Højbjerg for Denmark. He drives forward with a ball. At Spurs, he just goes backwards, sideways. You know, I just do think it's a Spurs problem, and a lot of the players are suffering. And G says that the managers, as the player, it's same under three managers. You go back to Sheffield United at home, and I'm going to actually make a point of watching this week, Poch's last game, and I'm going to rewatch the West Ham game, and I guarantee you'll see a lot of the same problems still there.
Surely that's a big problem, though, Gareth, because we seem to sign a player, yet all the Spurs fans on social media 6 months later say, "Oh, it's all right. A transfer window's coming up. We need to replace them." You know, replacing players like 6 months later.
As you said, look, you know, people were blaming Ben Davis, Sissoko's, you know, Serge Aurier for, but they're all gone, and we're still no better off. You know, so it is a big problem that the recruitment coming in isn't up to the standard.
I think the other problem with the recruitment is that that lots of people make the comment, including not just Spurs fans, but in the media, the time for Spurs to rebuild was on the back of that Champions League. People forget we spent 140 million on the back of it. And 3 years later, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Jack Clark and Sessegnon, what have these players done for our club?
Exactly, and you know, people are saying about Pochettino, but he signed them players as well. You know, he has to take a part of the blame in this. You know, maybe he wasn't back the summer before, but he wanted them players. He fought tooth and nail to get Sessegnon. You know, Spurs went down on the last day, paid 30 million for him on his. You know, that's who he wanted. And they haven't worked out.
None of us argued against it, did we?
See in the summer, people, the two right backs Spurs run for was Emerson and Tomiyasu. And I was told that we wanted a rapid right back. I haven't seen Emerson drive forward once. I've seen that boy from Arsenal. I've seen him running around all over the show. He's big, strong, physical. He may not be the best player, but he's the type of player that we needed, and we went and signed Emerson. So I don't know what, you know, I have to admit I haven't watched a lot of Barcelona games. And was it Real Betis he played for last season? I'm not sure. Was it some other Spanish team he played for last season on loan? I can't mind who it was. But I haven't watched him.
At the moment, it doesn't seem to take players on, doesn't seem to cross. But
I've seen videos of him. I've seen videos of him taking players on. So again, it comes back to the Spurs problem. Region was taking players on these first few games. Now he just wants to go backwards. And if you watch Region's performance against Man City, the game we won 2-0, when everyone said Mourinho was back, remember that game? Mahrez didn't get a kick against him. So he can defend, but just, again, I think it's attitude. And just a combination of this comfortable Spurs are like a comfortable club. I think when people come here and it's like a holiday. Dele Alli's on a holiday at the minute. Winks is on a holiday. You know, these players haven't given us anything for a long time, and they're still here. It takes us a long time to get rid of players, and we're starting to do that now. Like Sissoko and Aurier, but they should have been gone 2 years ago.
Well, sadly for us fans, we can't go on holiday.
No. Well, Chris, if you went on holiday for a month and there's no shows, people will be ringing in to complain, wouldn't they? Because people want the shows. Well,
as long as Tottenham win, that's all that matters.
No, exactly. But all these players, they don't turn up today. And what do? Oh, it doesn't matter. We've got Burnley on Wednesday. We'll go again. No, it's not good enough. Do you know what I mean?
You know what, though, boys? Like, my measure of a manager, the thing why, and get your shot glasses ready, because I'm going to mention him again. The thing that impressed me the most about Poch, right, was we had a good side. We had a good side before he turned up, but we was again a bit mediocre. Some games we was fantastic, some games we was off, and we was getting beat, 5-0 by Man City and Liverpool and stuff like that before he came in. When he came in, Moussa Dembele, right, who we all love and we all miss, okay. But he was a fantastic player that had no mission and no direction, and we didn't know what type of player he was. When Poch got a hold of him, suddenly we saw what everybody was saying about him in training. Suddenly we saw not just the improvement within him, but the levels of effort and improvement go up across the team. Now, it took one season for them to kind of really get into the rhythm of it, but that was my measure. I saw the same players performing out of their skins, and some of these players that we've got are not bad players. But again, are they getting the motivation? Are they getting the right messages across? Are they being given the mission statements from the manager, kind of going, look, this is what I want from you, Emerson. This is what I want from you. I need you to be rapid. I want you to take on a man. I want you to cross the ball more. Is he giving him those messages, or is it keep the ball, pass it back to Romero, he'll pass it to Dyer, and then he'll pass it to Reguilon? You know, like you say, we've seen the performances of Reguilon drop under two managers that are kind of, you know, a bit pragmatic, you know, a bit.
Ricky, do you know who the perfect example is? The perfect example is Matt Doherty, right? Matt Doherty for Wolves, like he scored 8 goals the season we signed him under Nuno, and he's come on and he doesn't drive forward at all for Spurs. He doesn't offer us anything, and even since Nuno's come on, he's not really given Doherty a chance. So, you know, that's like every player we sign is going backwards. And like you say, I don't know what the problem is. It's a big issue because, you know, whoever we go and, as Chris said, you know, to January, everyone will be saying, "Oh, no, our transfer window, let's get some players." But sure, we've changed a lot of these players, and we're going backwards still.
Ricky, let's come back to you. Just take this question, then we'll talk about the cup game on Wednesday against Burnley and the Manchester United game on Saturday. Comment here from Sean. We were statues on the ball. The only player who moved was the nearest one to the ball. The other 8 outfield players stood still. It was awful. You mentioned Christian Romero earlier. I thought he had a pretty decent game for us today, and he does look like a good signing, doesn't he?
Yeah, bruv, he does. But again, my fear and my apprehension comes from him being at Spurs. Is he going to start going backwards? Is he going to lose faith in Dyer being alongside him? Is he going to start losing faith about the mission and the intent that the team has going up against anybody else? Do you know what I mean?
Ricky, so you're one of my most positive people on this show. I know,
but it's hammers. I know, bro. I know, but it's against the damn Hammers, and I'm just like, it's tough to be positive. He is definitely somebody that we can build a defense around. He's going to need a solid partner. You know, there is the basis of a good side there, but again, I think right now it's becoming evident to me that we need a manager that's in charge, that really kind of gets these players going, really has a plan for A, B, C, D, and E. You know, I watched the overlap during the week, and Neville was talking to Carragher, and they were chatting about Benitez, and they were saying a couple of the forward players found some of these sessions boring because all he used to do was concentrate on shape, right, and concentrate on the defensive shape and the shape of the team. And sometimes the offensive players can get bored of that. They just want to take some shots. They want to score some goals. They want to create. They want to mess about a bit. And I kind of think, well, is that what's happening at Spurs? Are we just concentrating on a control and a shape and a defensive solidity? And are our creative players or our attacking players, are they falling asleep with it? You know? But this is why we need somebody that's in there that's gonna push us, bro. That's gonna play the football that we want to see. It's tough. It's so tough. I'm sorry, Chris. I tried, but it's tough.
No, it is tough. Do you know what? I said this before we went live. You know, these shows are very tough to do, especially when we lose these games. 4 London derbies. I tell you what, it is probably a record. I do need to check this out, but you know, I doubt that many Tottenham Hotspur managers in our history have lost 4 London derbies on the trot. You know, they're opening 4 London derby games. It must be a record. Other Premier League fixtures, you know, other results today. Brentford 1, Leicester 2, Manchester United 0, Liverpool 5. Tottenham are now down to 6th. We have played 9. We have won 5. We've lost 4. We've got 15 points. West Ham now go back into the top 4. Manchester United, our next opponents, are 7th. We face Burnley in the League Cup on Wednesday in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup. And just a bit of a fun fact here. We lost to Vitesse 1-0 on Thursday night. Well, they actually lost 2-1 at home today against newly promoted team Go Ahead Eagles. You know, if that isn't Spursy, I don't know what is. Jason, let's start with you. Wednesday, Carabao Cup 4th round. Burnley away. How do you see this game going? What team will Nuno Espirito Santo put out, particularly what has happened this week? You know, the starting 11 today, the first team, the reserve team, if you like, who played on Thursday night, Does Nuno Espirito Santo go with that same team that he played Thursday, or does he mix it up?
I think it'll be a half and half side. I think the previous round at Wolves, he went quite strong, didn't he? Kane played, Tongi played, Reguilon played. So I think he'll go half and half. He'll know on the back of 2 defeats, he'll need something. I think Burnley will make a lot of changes because they're not exactly playing too well themselves at the moment, are they? So they'll be starting to think we need to concentrate on Premier League survivals and things. So I think it will be 6 and 5 backups Tottenham team, if you like, against 8 and 3 backup Burnley side, and probably Tottenham win the game. But
Confident?
Yeah, I am quite confident of going to Burnley and winning. I was confident of going to Wolves in the last round and winning in the same way. But it's the confidences that I just think they'll mix it up even more than us, and our better players that do stay in the team, like Kane, will probably be good enough to beat 8 or 9 of Burnley's backup players. So that's my logic. It's not that I fancy us to go there and rip Burnley to pieces in a stylish performance at all. It's just that I think they'll be worse on the night than we will.
Chase, I know you're not a big fan of the Europa Conference League. Did you agree with Nuno making that many changes on Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. I had no problem with it. The only difference I'd have made is I'd have probably put the 11 on the bench in the first side, because I think it should just be a development competition. I know people say, we should be looking to win competitions and that, and I mock it as the European Checker Trade Trophy. It's the 3rd tier trophy, which is what the Checker Trade is. And I think play the development squad who understand each other's games. There may be a little bit more motivation for them to play it, rather than sitting there thinking I'm with the stiffs and he doesn't rate me, and even if I play well tonight, I'm not playing on Sunday. I think Ricky said that point. Whereas the young kids, maybe a genuine side of young kids, would go with a little bit more. And as we go into the second half of the season, if we go through the group, then you'll be that where we can see the backup players are not good enough. There'll be the week where it's second leg of one of those games with a massive game against, I don't know, Everton or someone like that on the Saturday, and then we get caught between 2 stools. Do we go for the trophy, or do we go for Everton to try and finish in that top 6 or push for better? So for me, no, I honestly, I know it's a terrible thing to say. I can't wait to be out of the competition. I'm embarrassed to be in it. The worst thing was having to finish above Arsenal. Because if we hadn't been so obsessed with having to finish one place above Arsenal, we could have missed out on the Conference League. If we'd have had Newcastle or Aston Villa or Leeds one place behind us, but because it was Arsenal, we must finish above them, and that puts us into that god-awful competition.
Is it the be-all and end-all for you, though, Jace, about league position this season rather than going far in trophies, competition, like cup competitions, even the FA Cup or the League Cup? Is it all about league position for you?
I think most years it probably has been with the thing of you're trying to build towards something. This year, no, don't get me wrong, Chris, we aren't going to finish in that top 4. So give me an FA Cup or a Carabao Cup. I mean, I'd sooner the Carabao Cup than that Conference League. And yeah. I'm all in favour of playing a decent side at Burnley, but not on the Thursday night Checker Trade business.
Gareth, how are you feeling ahead of this Burnley game?
I think Jace summed it up perfectly. Burnley are notorious for sending out second strings in these competitions. So I tell you what, if we can't go to Burnley and win, it's going to make his position untenable. I honestly, if we can't beat their second string, who Burnley now haven't won a game all season apart from I think they won on penalties in the last round against a Championship or League One team or League Two, whoever they played. I think they script through in penalties. They've been poor all season, and they seem to be conceding a lot of goals, which are notorious for. They're very hard to beat, and they nick games. But Burnley are kind of team that they'd be a good second half of the season. They always seem to start slow. So I do think, whatever team we put out, they'll probably be good enough, Chris. And I agree as well. I think it was, I don't really value this Conference League, so I didn't have any issue with playing all them players. The only issue I probably had was that maybe that it could cause a divide in the camp. But other than that, the football side of things, no, I've no interest in the competition. And the big games, United on Sunday or on Saturday, sorry, because they're obviously going through a tough time. It's a big game for the two coaches. Man United out of the cup. So if Nuno wins on Wednesday, it'll do him no credit. If he loses on Saturday, that'll be the one he's judged on. I do think it's a game that both managers can't afford to lose. Will Solskjaer be in charge? That's the thing. There's a lot of pressure on him. Hopefully he is, because you know what a team with a new manager can be like. It can be a tough. Even if you're playing a team like Watford, shown yesterday, a new manager in charge. I know it was his second game, but it can throw a spanner in the works if you're playing a team with a new manager. So hopefully he is in charge. And you have to look at it in current form. That's a winnable game on Saturday. I know you're playing Man United, but if you could pick a game in the Premier League at the minute, United would be in the top three, I think.
Gareth, don't you think it's a bit disrespectful of Jason calling it the Checker Trade European Trophy? Because really, it is our level. We finished 7th in the Premier League. So we are in the Europa Conference League. It is our level. We've gone from Champions League, we went to Europa League, and now we're in Europa Conference League. If we're in the competition, I don't know why a lot of us seem to be quite snobby and saying, "Well, we're a lot better than that."
It's not that, Chris. It's the value of it. What's the reward in this trophy? They get into the Europa League next season. That's the reward. There's no real. Don't get me wrong. See if we get to the final, I'll be up for it.
You say that, but are you confident that Tottenham will finish in a Europa League place in the league?
Probably not, Chris, and that's because we haven't got the as Jason said. I've always said we need to be pushing for the top 4. See, this season I would be prioritising the cups. I'd be sending out a near enough full strength team on Wednesday against Burnley to make sure we get through. I do understand we have to maybe rotate a couple. And that's probably wise to rotate a couple anyway, because some of the players don't deserve to play after their performance. So if you look at Thursday, the players coming in, they probably don't deserve to play, but he will probably go away. I think Jason's probably right, at least maybe 6, possibly 7 or 8. I think he might see the fullbacks rotated. He might make a couple of changes in midfield. I can see him playing Kane, Lucas, and Son again. I don't think he'll drop any of them. And I think he'll make sure he gets through the Burnley game. Because if we beat Man United on Saturday, it'd be great. But we just know it's just another false hope, because we'll go and lose another game the week after. That's just the way it is with Spurs. We could go and blow Man United away 3 or 4-0. But realistically, we just know it's a one-off. It's not going to lead to anything. Like Jason said, there's no real. People are talking about a transition season, but there's nothing they grasp, nothing they cling to. There's no game I've looked at, bar the Man City game, I thought that's where I want us to be. Even the games we've been winning, they've been scrappy, they've been tight. We're having the nick games, so it's got to be about the cups this year for me. I would pick finishing 10th or 11th and winning a cup. Honestly, I would. Because if we're not in the top 6, there's no point to being in this Conference League next year. I know you and Gary have been going to the games away from home, but I honestly, I'd be thinking, why do they bother? Because you're going to watch a second string team that doesn't want to be here playing against an average team.
I think as well, Chris, when you say, can we guarantee a top 6 spot? No, we can't. We've been poor this season. Where are we tonight?
Yeah. Do you know what?
And when you look at it and you think West Ham at the moment are playing better than us. So, okay, so you look at them and think, right, we'll back in with them. But a few weeks ago, you look at Aston Villa and think they look a good side. Poor at Tottenham, poor at Arsenal. Throw away a game against Wolves.
Oh, hey, it's a per standard. It's a per league. It is a per league.
I mean, fine, as bad as we are, Everton have just lost 5-2 at home to Watford. Arsenal can be struggling at home to Crystal Palace the other night, desperate for a late equaliser. So, no, we don't look like we're good enough for the top 6. But there's a hell of a lot of sides around us that don't look good enough as well. So we've probably got as much chance as any of the others.
Yeah. Do you know, Gareth made a good point there about me going to the Europa Conference League games. Just come back from Amsterdam near Arnhem. And, I went because, one, I support my club. I go, all over the place, as all of you guys know. And, I expect anyone wearing that Tottenham Hotspur shirt to put a shift in, whether it's the, full starting 11, like the first 11, or, the Harry Winks and Dele Alli and, all of them. I expect everyone to put a shift in. Now, Nuno saved the 11 players for today, and we've lost both games. That's what frustrates me, because, like all of you have said, no excuses from today. It is frustrating. Ricky, let's come to you. Joey writes here, Ealing has a lower net spend at Tottenham than Mike Ashley at Newcastle. Why do we expect our manager to get anywhere near the top four? Now, the thing that I wanted to say is that because we are in all four competitions, the League, the Europa Conference League, FA Cup and League Cup, at what point do you think Nuno starts putting in Harry Kane, Heung-min Son as a regular fixture in the cup sides? Because, of course, we can't compete on all four fronts. An injury to one or even two of them could just be dreadful for our season.
Yeah, but even with them, Chris, it can be dreadful, as we saw today. We had everybody that we wanted there today, and it wasn't pretty, was it? This team, they need rhythm. They need rhythm, a rhythm of games. So this is why I'm kind of with Jason and Gareth talking about kind of going pretty strong against Burnley coming up, because especially that back four, they need to play together a bit more. They need to understand each other a bit more, and it's the rhythm, it's the partnerships that they're building little bit by little bit. But having a big knock like today can send them backwards. So I would go strong in the cups, and like I said to you last week, start using our subs to our advantage. Listen, the Hammers done it. They went out and I can't remember who they beat Genk on Thursday and made 5 subs once they felt that the game was in the bag. And I think that's what we've got to start doing, especially with the English Cups. You know what I mean? Use these substitutes and these substitutions to our advantage. And keep getting that first team out. Keep, you know what I mean? Like you say 1-2 injuries, but we could get 1-2 injuries in training and that's going to mess us up. So I prefer them to be out there trying to give it their all on the pitch and trying to, and strive and go for a win in any one of these cups, then do it in training or to pick up a little niggle here or there. Do you know what I mean? It's like they need to start picking themselves up. They need to start taking responsibility. They need to start showing us all what it means to play for this club. And, for all of their talk, for all of those that wanted to go to win trophies, every single time that they've had an opportunity to win or to progress, they haven't so far in the last 2 years. Do you know what I mean? They haven't so far. So, buck up your ideas. They need to buck up their ideas, and I think Nuno needs to start playing them a bit more, start playing that first team a bit more, but especially that back four, back five, including Hugo. Let them get a rhythm of playing. Let them understand what is needed of them. Let us start putting in a couple of good performances, even if it's against a lower league side. Let's try and take that performance, if we have a good one, and let's try and transfer that into the league, and use the subs to our advantage.
Now, I just want to talk about the Manchester United game, which, of course, is our next Premier League game. I think that's going to be difficult. They lost 5-0 at home at Old Trafford to Liverpool today. Jace, let's come to you. Do you think that Manchester United will have a new manager by Saturday? Will it be their new manager bounce, or will it be to save Ollie's job?
I think it'll be. I think they'll still have Ollie, but they'll definitely need a reaction when you've got pumped 5-0 by your biggest rival. That's their Arsenal game, isn't it? I know people say it's the Manchester derby, but for me, Manchester City is the Chelsea game for them, and Liverpool is the Arsenal game for them. So, and to be at home, and let's be fair, when it went to 5 in the 49th minute, I think we probably all expected a lot more than 5. And you thought this is going to go 7-8. And then when Pogba got sent off, and then Liverpool kind of declared on them, didn't they? They just thought, okay, well, we've got enough, so just knocked it around. I think it will be down to how we approach it. I mean, Gary Neville's been very critical of United. You've seen our teams have been able to get at Manchester United, give them all sorts of problems. Leicester have done it to them. Villa have done it to them. Everton have done it to them. So you can't be scared of them. If we play static football and just knock it around and don't try and exploit their weaknesses, then I think Manchester United beat us. If we're brave enough to go and exploit the weaknesses they've got, and they've got big weaknesses, then you give yourself a chance to win. And Ronaldo or Bruno can do something amazing and bang, or Rashford's pace or something on the break. But to give yourself the best chance of beating them, you've got to be brave and try and exploit their weak areas. And they've got, I mean, Harry Maguire looks a terrible centre-half at the moment. Absolutely terrible centre-half. So be brave at them and go at them. But I'm not sure Nuno will do that. That's my worry.
Jace, I've got to ask you, when you see the likes of Chelsea winning 7-0 yesterday, Liverpool winning 5-0, the way that, you know, both them teams in particular are playing, it just makes me feel sad as a Spurs fan, thinking how ahead the likes of these teams are away from Spurs. Because if we played one of these teams right now, I think we would get absolutely hammered.
Well, we saw Chelsea toy with us in that second half, didn't we? They beat us 3-0 in the second half. That could have been 5 or 6, couldn't it, that day? Let's be fair, in that second half. And Liverpool at the moment, oh my God. I mean, I was sitting there thinking that I don't know when we play Liverpool, but it's it's one that in my mind I'm already
it's
dreading.
The last game
Dreading
before Christmas at home, Jason. Last game before Christmas at home.
Last
It's your Christmas present, Jason.
Hopefully it's the night after they've had their Christmas party or something, because the thought of, I mean, Salah just looks brilliant. Sometimes you, as much as rivalry is, and we want to mock Salah sometimes, you just got to say the bloke is playing. I'm not so sure he's the best player in the world at the moment, but he's playing some amazing football, amazing goals he's scoring, and they're a real handful at the moment. And they're, like I said, that's where I wish Tottenham would be, even if we haven't quite as good as that style that they've got, because they just go at teams. They just go at teams from the off, and it's brilliant to watch.
Gareth, I know you're coming over from Ireland to watch the Manchester United game. You looking forward to it?
Well, it was before the day, but I'm sure come Friday when I get on the plane, I'll be buzzing no matter what, because it's obviously, you know, I don't get over to every game, like, so it's my first game since the lockdown, like, so I'll be looking forward to it. You know, I think it's a winnable game. You know, you got to look, United at the minute, they're in even more dire straits than us. They have a lot of pressure on them. They spent a lot of money. I think Solskjaer will this. You know, I think if we can beat them, it could be the final nail in his coffin. I think they will give him a chance. But United have a good record against us too. So look, it's a game where I think both teams this season have relied on individuals to get them out of trouble. So it's probably going to be that way. As our individuals going to outshine theirs, because both are at the minute, both teams aren't playing as teams because they're conceding a lot of goals. Their systems are strange. Nobody knows what the plan is. You know, Ronaldo's pulled them out a few times. Son's pulled us out a few times. So it's going to be interesting to see what way it works out. It'll probably be cagey, Chris, and probably be fine margins. But you know, hopefully we can get the one. I'm confident, to be honest. I think despite all the negatives today, we could probably get 2-1 this week. But that's not down to us being great, just the fact of the opposition, that Burnley are going to play a second string team, and that United are so low on confidence. They were so bad today, and like they're conceding at least 2 or 3 every game now at the minute. So, God, I think that's going to be a game for us. We can get at them. But as you say, will Nuno go for it or not? The fact that we're at home, it's Saturday night at 5:30. I'm expecting a sellout. You know, which hopefully the crowd can be big. You know, and encourage the team on, because they owe us a performance after that West Ham game today. Away from home this season, we have been shocking bad. You know, so. Hopefully at home, you know, our better performances this season have come at home. So maybe that's one positive to look at for Saturday. And just fingers crossed we can get the one, or else I'm going to be a very unhappy boy in London on Saturday.
Listen, Gareth, you know what? My first game was the Mora game that I went to with Chris, and it was right after the Gooners. And you know what? We was, you know, everyone was feeling it. Everyone was feeling the pain after Chelsea, after the Gooners. It was not a nice feeling. But as soon as I walked into the Tottenham Stadium, bruv, I couldn't help but smile, and I was so excited to be there. I remember grabbing Chris and giving him a cuddle, man.
It wasn't that. It was a bottle of champagne that done it for you.
And do you know what it is, Ricky, as well? You know what? We're the mugs, you know, because we'll still go and we'll still keep paying our money and we'll still keep buying the merchandise. And do you know what? We sit here and we slag off Levy and we slag off Enoch, but you know what? We're just fueling it, because we're the same people every season that's buying on it. So, you know, it's a pot calling the kettle black.
It is.
Ricky, how are you feeling ahead of this Man United game? Who do you think's got more problems right now, Spurs or Man United?
I mean, you know what I mean? From our point of view, it's us, innit? Because look, Spurs are all I care about. You know, champagne. Big up, Kev. No champagne today, bro. Just a You know, Audi Prosecco, mate. Audi Prosecco. Oh, mate, yes. I come from a Tottenham perspective, so we've got more problems. Just because I care about Tottenham more. Man United. The thing is with Man United, as we know, they will always turn up against us. They have some magic players. They've got Bruno and Ronaldo. That of course they're going to turn up against us. So they do have problems. They've spent the money, and this is what we're saying. It's like it's not about us just spend an ENIC and the board spending money. We need to spend the right money at the right time on the right players. And when we've got a deal there, and when these players want to come to us, we need to make that deal happen, rather than dilly-dallying. So they've spent a lot of money, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on them. But like you said, Chris, Ollie's going to want a reaction. Ronaldo's going to want a reaction. I'm sure a lot of those boys are going to want to react to what's happened this week, because it's been utterly embarrassing for them lot today. But you know what? I've got to go back to what Jace was saying there. He was talking about being brave. And again, viewers at home, get your shot glasses ready. But that was Poch's mantra. You know what I mean? That was his mantra. Be brave. Like, go for it. And that's one of the things that I think we've lost ever since he's gone, is our bravery. We've become scared. We've become apprehensive. It seems like every time that there's a counter-attack against us, or an attack running against our defense, there's panic stations going on left, right, and center. So it's gonna be a tough game, but I hope it's gonna be a good one. And it's just, we don't know which Tottenham's going to turn up. So I hope for Gareth's sake, and for all of our sakes, but I hope for Gareth's sake that the good Tottenham turn up, and at least they show some fight, and at least we have a reaction. I don't care about what Man United do. It's about us. It's about what we do. It's about what we can impose on them. And I want our players to feel the hurt, but I want them to be angry and frustrated and want to go out against Burnley and then against Man United and show us something. Show us that they're hurting. Show us that they want to perform for not just the shirt, but for every single fan that pays their money every single week, regardless win, lose or draw. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. Well, last question for you all. I'd like a score prediction for the Burnley game, a score prediction for the Man United game, and because there's been, there hasn't been much positivity on this show tonight, so I just want a positive from this season. I'm going to go first, okay? So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win at Burnley on Wednesday. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw at home against Manchester United. And the positive so far is that we are still in all 4 competitions. Jace, what about you?
All right.
Oh, you want positivity? Oh, God.
Should I go for someone else? Is this going to take a bit of time?
I think we'll beat Burnley 2-0. I think Man United... and then I think we'll finish in the top 6.
Okay. Yeah, well, that'll do. Ricky, let's come to you.
All right. So we're going to beat Burnley and lift the Carabao Cup. We're going to beat Man United and be top 4. We're going to beat whoever else we got in Europa Conference. We're going to win it all. That's my positivity. You
still got that champagne?
I've been drinking too much of it, Jace. I've been drinking too much of it. Listen, the only positivity that I can grasp for, mate, is it's game by game. And I know I said it last week, but it's game by game now, man. It's like just turn up and put in everything that you've got. Like, go out on your shield, Tottenham. And if we lose, then we lose. But go out on your shield, boys. Like, this kind of static play, this side-to-side play, this scared play, I'm done with. Do you know what I mean? So let's hope for a big reaction from the boys. I'm going to agree with David just there and say 2-1 against Burnley. And I'm going to say 1-0 against Man United, Tottenham. Come on, you Spurs.
Well, Chris is calling me delusional because I've just predicted a win against Burnley. So I don't know what you are, Ricky. Gareth, let's come to you.
Ricky, honestly, I thought the positive was going to be if we keep losing, Poch may come back and everything will be all right again.
That could work. That's a positive there. Damn it.
But we've been down that road before. I was going to say, I think we'll have enough to beat Burnley. I think 2-0 against Burnley. I'm going to agree with Jace. And then I think United game will go either way, but I'm gonna go 2-1 Spurs. Hopefully they can get the business done. I've had a good record in the new stadium, so hopefully I've seen us only one game, so hopefully I'm a good omen for Saturday. United are under a lot of pressure, and people are saying about who's got bigger problems. I think United do, because they spent a lot of money and they're expected to challenge for the title this year. So they're just if they're scripting the or they all draw with defeats, it's more pressure on them. And I think they're that desperate they have to get a win. It might play into our hands. So hopefully 2-1s, and we'll be on here next week saying we're going to win the league again. So that's all it is, isn't it?
I don't think we will. Gareth, thanks so much for your time tonight. Really, really great pleasure having you on again.
Top man, thanks for having me on, Chris. Great show as always. And
Jason, thank you very much for your insight.
No problem, mate. So I was positive on 2 of the 3 outcomes.
Well, I tell you what, it's worrying signs. When last season, when you were on this show, you said that we were going to win a trophy under Jose, and that was pushing the boat out, wasn't it?
Well, I said we might do. I didn't disagree with you, but I don't remember running around saying the trophies are coming.
Oh, I don't know who's done that. You won't be hearing that for a long time, I'll tell you that much. Ricky, thanks so much as always.
Wednesday night.
No, you won't.
Burnley, you will say it. You will do.
Maybe.
Oh, mate.
Ricky,
Derek, you reckon you're the most delusional fan ever, Chris? Derek thinks you're the most delusional fan ever.
Just because I hope my team wins trophies, I don't think that's delusional. It's just getting behind the team.
Exactly.
And when you had a manager like Jose Mourinho had been there and done it, and I know you hate this term, Jace, but serial winner Jose, you expected to win trophies. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Chris, I mean, for all it was the most mad decision to sack him in the week of a cup. I mean, not even I would have come up with that absolutely ridiculous decision to sack him in the week of a cup final. Only Tottenham could do that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, Gareth, Jason, Ricky, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I know it's been hard talking about another defeat, another London derby defeat. But let's hope that Tottenham can do the business this week. Another busy week coming up against Burnley on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup 4th round. And then, of course, Manchester United on Sunday. Let's hope that we can get the 3 points, climb up the Premier League table again. And so all of us are smiling again. Have a good week, everyone. Thanks so much for all of your comments. Thanks so much for subscribing to the channel, all of your support. Have a good week. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on.
Come.